So people for some reason have been saying Meatman has no lore, when Meatman clearly has lore. It has a lot of lore, you're just not looking. So I guess I gotta spell it out for the stupid weak-minded heads who can't see what's in front of them, even though I have the best lore. I have the best lore. My lore is the greatest. Meatman is the greatest lore. So let me spell it out for you. So Meatman came from space, but it was called Meatmen. The men was singular though, because there's one mass, and it was floating through space, because you know all meat comes from space. Everyone knows that. That's how it works. But then you know that one movie. I forgot who's in it. It's like an alien. It's gonna come back to me. There's like an alien, and it has like its brain cells are also its like body cells, and it keeps growing, and the scientists are scared. It was found on like a cold planet. That's why it died, or basically died, because you know cells don't grow in cold temperatures. Anyways, so that's basically what the Meatman is, but in real life. Well, Meatman was just floating around in space one day when stupid idiots on a spaceship came up, and they said, "Ooh, look, it's an alien." Idiots. I'm Mr. Meatman. I'm no alien. But then they took me to their world. And all of this was covered in my first 10 videos. Look here. If you watch the playlist, you'll know what I'm talking about. But then when we got to this world, Earth, that's what it's called. This guy came over and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this thing." And all the Meatmen's were in this containment field, this giant, a metal ball. It was pretty scary, but it kept us in line. But the Meatman is like, you know, a forever growing entity. It starts small, you know, like the size of an atom. And then, you know, you wait a few millennia, it becomes, you know, slowly it becomes the size of a cell. Wait a few more years, hey, it becomes a bigger slight mass. Maybe the size of like an ant. And then bigger and bigger, becomes the size of a normal, you know, dog. And then, you know, person, and then, you know, a tree, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger, so it'll be the big old size of the world, baby. Except that, well, you know, it's cold in space, so that's why my Meatmen don't get big. It's the cellular thing again. You don't grow big in space. Everything is frozen. That's why there's no life in space. So that's why it's like, you know, my Meatmen don't get big. It's only cause he's cold. Stop laughing. It isn't small. It's average size. So in this perfect environment, the Meatman gets big, even in this containment field though. It's like they try and contain the meat with the cold air, but it ain't space cold. That's a different type of cold. I mean, you got normal cold and you got space cold. It's like, you know, the space got the space particles. That's why it's special cold. You just don't get it. It's different. So it's the Mr. Meatman. So we're trapped in the metal Earth space, but we keep growing and growing. And also the Meatmen's, you know, now it's very smart, and it's getting smarter because it's all cells, brain cells, body cells, fiber cells, diet fiber cells. Everything is compacted together into one. It's that movie. What's it called? Can't remember. It's gonna come at the top of my head and I'm gonna scream and shout it.
Life.
It's the same thing. It's essentially a giant brain that can move and talk. Though Meatmen don't talk much, honestly. So cause he's smart, he could also use his psychic powers and make the soldier men do his bidding. But that's the thing. The humans are smart too. So they make a gravitonium transformium anti-psychic powers thingy inside the metal. And then the meat can't use the psychic powers. But we're still growing. And eventually meat is just filling up the anti-psychic metal. So the humans are like, well, fuck, we gotta do something. He keeps growing. But we can't move him out, cause then the Meatmen just mind control everybody. So then they're thinking, so I guess we'll just make another circle of metal out of the already circle of metal. But it's gonna be tough and expensive. So this is where your tax dollars go, ladies and gentlemen. So the humans start construction, but during construction, you know, not everything is on a missive. Somebody falls off a ladder, you know, there's trouble with paperwork and safety. Unions come in, the HR has to deal with it. Typical, you know, typical things. Also a little bit of Meatman escapes. No big deal, no big deal. It's just a little tiny piece. I mean, the Meatman has become so big by now within the metal that it has become physically improbable to hold it all, even in a metal container. So it's growing and it's pushing out, and that's why when nobody's looking. Yeah, tiny piece, a little tiny little piece of space meat. So slips out of the cracks in the welded metal. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. It's just, it happens. All right, it happens. And that tiny piece, that little piece of meat, that's me. That's Mr. Meatman. I slither away, crawling and slowly growing. I sneak onto a Hummer, a military vehicle from 1973. Yeah, that's when they came out. Look it up. That's a fun car fact for you. And then from there, I leave the secret base and head towards another. But it's a business one with like the businessmen. So then I leave the bus and I sneak into one guy's bag. And that guy works from 9 to 5. He's exhausted after a hard day at the office. I feel bad for the guy. He goes in his nice looking car and he drives home. I'm in the back. I put my seatbelt on. I know the traffic rules, come on. But I put it on quietly so he doesn't hear. And then he goes home. He lives in a nice big old apartment with his wife, 2 kids. Wife cooks the dinner, kids rowdy and excited. Little young old things. And then I go inside because I'm smelling something good. They're having meat for dinner. And then I go in the house and I eat them. They tasted pretty good. All right, not too bad. A little tender, a little, crunchy on the sides. Not the kids. The kids tasted like trash. They barely had any fat to them. Really, what's the point of eating when it's so small? I think sometimes I take a massive shit and flush. And then I go to another apartment, do the same thing, eat them, and then I keep doing that to a bunch of different apartments. There's lots of stuff, people to eat, meat, and then I do that till I'm full. Then I go to one last apartment. A lady opens up. I say, "Hey, dude," because that's the only words I know at the time in English. The lady screams, and also she's old, so she dies. I wear her skin. It's hot. Sexually. And then I look up on the internet, and I look up the data and the research, and I look up a few movies like Transformers, Jurassic Park, Space Buddies, The Shaggy Dog, also some good movies like Whiplash, Nightcrawler, The Heat. Wait, I didn't see The Heat. And also Five Nights at Freddy's Let's Plays. And I realized something. Wait a minute. YouTube? What the fuck is a YouTube? So I look up YouTube, and lo and behold, a plethora, a whole engulfing mass of pure and unadulterated autism. And then I looked at the people, and I looked at the views, and I realized that some of these people are famous. Oh, and famous people have power. They have riches and fame beyond reason and desire. They are the ultimate beings. And if I could become an ultimate being too, I could rule the universe. I could put indoctrinating hidden messages in my videos, make silly lore, and convince people that I am in fact funny, contrary to actual belief. And thus, my reign began, and I created my YouTube channel, Mr. Meatman. And that's how we got here today, with that channel, and the all! So, guys, don't forget to like. This is my first video. Be gentle with the comments. Don't troll. I'll ban you from my comment section if you bully me.
Hey, this is the police! Fucking open up!
Oh, jeez, fuck, they found me, I left the trail. I left too many crumbs, too many meaty crumbs, they found me, oh god!
What the fuck I do? I gotta fucking kill you!
Sorry, see you next time!